so much weight on my shoulders. And have to knock me out.
Hello everybody, Harvey Talks Prison here. I get a lot of emails and stuff from people who've either served time in Farmington Correctional Center or knows somebody who's there. So, and one person asked me to do a thing on video on Farmington and excuse me, tell what I know about it. I think I've done this before, but I'll do it again. I got there in '93 from MSP, Missouri State Penitentiary. I remember when I first got off the bus, a bunch of us got into it with white shirts there. They was just talking crazy to us, and it was because we came from Missouri State Penitentiary. We do things different down here. You know, you ain't gonna be running things, and so we got into it with them. You know, and we almost all went to the hole, and but anyway, it's basically two prisons in one. And at that time, this was in the 90s, from 93, I was there from 93 to 99. A side was for regular people. I say regular people, I mean those without messed up charges. And the other side was for the sex offenders. All different types. And they had their own yard and everything. It just drove me nuts. But I don't think it should be on the yard. This is me. But they had, what was weird about this prison is they had trees growing everywhere. And they'd have like benches underneath trees and stuff. And people used to joke because of the trees. And they had like a volleyball thing in the sand, you know, they said, imagine that. All these people with messed up charges here and they got trees and sandboxes. But they had, you know, each side had its own chow hall and stuff. But when I left there in '93 because I was set up, and I ended up going to Potosi. When I came back, when I got my level dropped in 2015, I went to Algoa first, and then they sent me to Farmington Laundry. When I got there this time, it's completely different. They put me on B side in 30 house. I never could understand why it was called 30 house. I mean, you had 10 housing units, and then all of a sudden you had 30 house. Excuse me. No, you had, 10 housing units, I think. Either way, it went from like 9 or 10, whatever it was, to 30 house. And it was set off way off from the others. And this time there wasn't sex offenders on that side, at least not a lot of them. It wasn't made for them. You know, it wasn't set aside for them by this time. I guess they did away with that program thing they was doing over there. But 30 house was weird in the fact that it had, it was weird shape. It wasn't shaped like the other housing units, and the rooms, I call them rooms because they really weren't cells. You had wooden doors, you know, it's like a door at home that you opened, and doorknobs and everything. But one could be small and just be enough for two people, or you could have 4, 6, 8. I think the biggest one was like 12 or 14 people it healed, and I think mine healed 12. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. No, mine healed 8. The room they put me in only had 8. But I need to back up a little bit because I want to tell you about Nine House, because a lot of people are emailing me about Nine House and the problems that go on there. There's been a lot of things happening in Nine House. But when I was there in the 90s, it was a special needs unit. You know, it's all those who were on heavily medicated and stuff. And the one thing I disagreed with is they would put them. They'd have. Of course, they asked for this, so I mean, I guess I shouldn't really disagree because that's what they wanted. I think they even filed for it. These people in this housing unit want to play softball like everybody else, which is a good thing that they allowed them to do that. But the thing of it is, people would laugh at them, you know, because a lot of times when they hit a ball, they'd run the wrong way. They'd collide when they're trying to catch a ball. So to everybody else, it was just entertainment, you know. And I never did get to see that because I was on A side and Nine House was on B side. But people were telling me about it, you know, that got put over there for a little while, you know. Usually if you got put over there because they didn't have no space, you came out of the hole and they didn't have no space on the A side, so they put you over there for a little while. And they didn't keep you over there. Anyway, back to 30 House. The people in the 30 House all work in laundry, and they wash the clothes for 7 different hospitals in the area, you know. St. John's, St. Genevieve. They came from like 7 different hospitals. And plus they did the clothes for the inmates. When I was there, they had me doing, putting the clothes, you know, after they've been shifted through and everything, putting the clothes in the washers. And then, you know, you had the others that did the drying, and you had the others that did the folding, all this and that. And doctors say that the 5 months I was there, chemicals had messed up my lungs, my right lung. But anyway, you would see people, you could work overtime there. You know, you made anywhere, I think, from 90 cents to $1 something an hour. And so people were trying to save up money for when they went home. And so you had overtime that you could work. So there was only like 1 hour in the middle of the night that the laundry was closed. And it was almost open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And you'd have people that would work every hour they could, and you'd see them when they did have to, they'd stay until it closed, and then they'd come back, and you'd see them coming in looking like zombies, and they have rings under their eyes, and they're just dragging feet, and they did this day after day. Couldn't have been healthy. But one of the things that people would look for in the clothes that came through, they looked as because it was shifted through because they had feces and everything else, and they'd shift it through, and then they'd sit down through the washers, and even down there they'd miss some things in that, and you know, you might find a $10 bill, an e-cigarette. I found a couple of needles one time. this guy that found the e-cigarette, he washed it off and just started smoking it. You know, cleaned it up, because I said, man, I wouldn't smoke on that. But he wanted to see if it worked, and it was still working. But you had all kinds of people that worked down there. I mean, and some people saved up quite a bit of money. I mean, but that's because they worked it like almost all the time down there, you know, except for the hour or whatever it was. But people ask me what type of prison Farmington was. It was never. Back in the 90s, it was kind of violent on A side, but it was not really that bad, really. I mean, there was some shifty things that went on. There was some violence, but it wasn't like as bad as Missouri State Penitentiary or Crossroads or some of these, or even South Central Correctional Center is now. But I'm sorry, I ain't feeling too good today. But anyway, it was not that bad that I can remember. And even when I got back there in 2015, it was even more laid back. You know, they had me on A side in R&O for a little while before they sent me to the other side. I'd go out in the yard. The only thing I noticed about both sides is there was a lot of snitches just running around in the yard, and they had no shame in their game. If you did something or said something they didn't like, they would run and tell. I mean, right in front of you. And sometimes they'd tell you, I'm going to tell. And I'm not saying everybody down there was like that, because there were some good people down there too, you know, but it's just, I remember this guy I was walking the track with, he gets into it with this guy that bumps into him. I mean, he almost turned around and decked him, but he gets into it with him. And the guy goes, leave me alone. I'm going to tell. And me and the guy goes, you going what? he runs off. And I don't know if he ever told or not. Oh, and another thing I noticed, I think when I was down there in 30 House, 9 House was still for those with medical problems, you know, and medical issues. And it was also, back then, Missouri still had tobacco. And me and this guy they have these pavilions with weights on them. Me and this guy was trying to work, we were working out, and we see this guy going along, and he's picking up cigarette butts. It's everywhere he walking around in the yard picking up cigarette butts. And he was from 9 House, and the dude, I wasn't working out with the guy. He was doing his own thing, and I was doing my own thing. But I was looking at this guy, and he tells me, he goes, that dude from 9 House, and he does this every day. He goes out there and picks up these cigarette butts. And so I called him over. I said, hey, dude, come here. And I said, man, here's a bag of tobacco. I had a bag of top tobacco here. Take this. It's like a half a bag, you know. It wasn't full. And he goes, oh, thank you. And walks off. And the guy goes, that's not going to stop him from doing that. He's going. And sure enough, he was going along, still picking them up and putting them in a little bag. I said, man, that's sad, you know. And but anyway, that's all I got for you today. For those who have loved ones in Farmington, who have been in Farmington, I hope this answered some of your questions. If you have questions or you have something you want to say, please comment. Now, thank you for watching. Bye.
but I'm still